Good morning. My name is Joey. Welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary. Very excited to have Nurah Grace as our speaker today, and it's delightful to see you all here. Thank you for joining us. Hi to you online. We're glad you're here. Enjoy the service.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. I'd like to take this opportunity to remember and to honor our ancestors. Recently, I actually was, perusing a website dealing with ancestry. I came across a letter, and it was such a heartfelt letter, I felt that it would be a good idea to share it with everyone. Dear ancestors, I write to you today not as a historian, but as a grateful descendant. Your strength, resilience, and unwavering spirit have carried down through generations, shaping who I am today. I am filled with a deep sense of awe and gratitude for the sacrifices you made, the challenges you overcame, and the love you poured into our family. I am so incredibly proud of the legacy you built. You laid the foundation for a life filled with opportunity, connection, and love. I know that your stories, however small or grand they may seem, are woven into the tapestry of my life, and I carry them with me always. I see you in the values you instilled in us, the kindness you showed others, and the strength you demonstrated in the face of adversity. You taught us the importance of hard work, perseverance, and unwavering family love. I am also humbled by the sacrifice you made for our family. I know you faced challenges that we cannot even imagine. But your unwavering dedication to us has created a legacy of hope and strength. I want to assure you that your sacrifices have not been in vain. Your memory lives on in the hearts and minds of your descendants. We carry your spirit with us, and we are proud to continue the legacy you built. I am grateful for the opportunity to connect with you through stories, memories, and the stories you left behind. Your presence is with us always, and we continue to honor your legacy by living lives of purpose and compassion with love and gratitude to our ancestors. I also want to take this opportunity to honor the First Peoples. We gather here today in the ancestral homelands of the First Peoples of Seattle, the Coast Salish, including the Duwamish. They actually settled this land thousands of years before we came. They honored the land. They worked the land. They were great stewards. We honor their stewardship and their hard work and their sacrifice. But I also want to honor and celebrate the indigenous spirituality, their leaders. They have gifted us with acts of kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and wisdom. We honor you.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you, Joey. And again, welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary and our Sunday service. My name is Sally Jo, and I'm going to give an offering to the Divine Feminine. You notice we have a little candle here that was lit also in front of the altar, and that is to honor the Divine Feminine, and just to remind all of us that the Divine Feminine is present within all beings. It's not about a certain gender of a certain person. It's really about all of us and the balance of the world, what the Chinese call the yin and yang of the world, the balance of nature and of the world. And one of the people who has represented Divine Feminine in some cultures, particularly in the indigenous cultures of the islands of the Ireland and England and Great Britain has been the Blessed Sophia. And I remember that Karen Lindquist, who was our co-founder and co-minister for the beginning of our history here at ICS, she always helped us understand a lot about the Blessed Sophia. So I read this prayer to her. O gentle, excuse me. O gentle, O kind, O blessed Sophia, thy children on earth call unto thee. We pray thee, beloved mother, to cast forth thy net of woven starlight, fling it wide across the ocean of the universe, to gather us home to the realms of light. Amen. And at this time, I also have the great honor and pleasure of introducing our guest speaker today, who most of us know well, Nurah Grace Uding, who has come here for many, many years and has a wonderful history of studying. You can read in your program a little bit of her background. And what I can speak about are the years she's been here with us at Interfaith Community Sanctuary, which is many. And I can't remember farther back than me that she was here. And I know that, aren't you ordained in ministry in another tradition, Unity?
I came here having done a lot with the Unitarian Universalists.
Right.
Before coming here. And then the Sufi tradition, I went to University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism.
Right. And that was that. Right. And so, but I know that throughout the years that we've been here with Elizabeth Nurah Grace, she has graced our presence with so much wisdom, and from her studies of things that I know for me, so many new things she's brought to our community. The year that we had the discernment of permaculture, which was like brand new concept to most of us, and the spiritual aspect of permaculture. And Nurah Grace, you enlightened that for us so much through you already had knowledge by being involved in all these local garden projects that were going all over the city. And Nurah Grace has a way of bringing everything down to earth. And that's about what I'm going to say right now, because you will see how she can connect with the divine spirit and bring it down to earth, to those of us who stand on the earth, and make us feel uplifted by that. And so I'm just going to let her do her stuff and show you what she's going to be, as you can see, Sanctuaries in Time is the theme of our month, because throughout the year we're studying the whole concept of what is a sanctuary and why do we call this place a sanctuary and what does that mean to us. And Nurah Grace is going to focus on the medicine wheel, sacred time in the cycles of life, which you will see will come from her practices not only in her Sufi work, but in her Native American tradition that she studied with the medicine wheel tradition. So enlighten us. Go for it.
Thank you. It's lovely to be with you today. Thanks so much for being here. And I am going to start out by going out on a limb, because there's a lot of amazing people in this world who are fabulous at leading a song circle. And I'm not one of them, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so this is my gift to you, because I don't know if anybody remembers Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus, the PBS thing. Her thing was get out there, get messy, make mistakes. So here I am. I'm going to just try to lead a song, and it is Sacred Human I Am in your order of service. Very simple song, and I am just going to sing it through the first time, and I encourage you to just jump in and start singing it with me. Sacred human I am, with bare feet I walk across the river stones, with water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart so I am never alone. Sacred human I am. Sacred human I am. With bare feet I walk across the river's stones, with water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart so I am never alone. Sacred human I am. Sacred human I am. With bare feet I walk across the river's stones, with water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart so I am never alone. Sacred human I am. Last time. Sacred human I am. With bare feet I walk across the river's stones, with water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart so I am never alone. Sacred human I am. Lovely, thank you. So, here we are. I'm going to start with a quote from a book called Wild Mind by Bill Plotkin. We are being summoned by the world itself to make urgent changes to the human project. But most central is a fundamental revisioning and reshaping of ourselves, a shift of consciousness. We must reclaim and embody our original wholeness, our indigenous human nature granted to us by nature itself. Our subject is a sanctuarian time, and our very souls don't need it, because the soul is eternal. The soul doesn't know time. The soul, being timeless and has perfection, and it just doesn't need that sanctuary. But the beloved has asked us to do a special favor, and that is to walk on this planet as a human being. There's a saying from the Sufi tradition, I was a secret treasure, and I longed to be known. And so I created all of the worlds. And the idea is that God, as a singularity, cannot see itself, just as you and I cannot see ourselves. We cannot see our face without a mirror. So it is with the divine. It cannot perceive itself without having something to be its mirror, and that's what we are. It's really interesting. I haven't looked at every creation story out there, but I've looked at a few. And it's interesting how often humans, the creation of the human comes last. You know, God created this and then that and that, the light and the dark, the earth, everything. But in many creation stories, and then he created humans. Why are we always last? Well, here's a thought. God wasn't finished making creation until he got a creature to agree to be her mistake maker. We are God's holy mistake makers. God asked the mountains, asked the trees, will you do this special thing for me? And they all said, we're good. But the humans were created to be so in love with the divine that we said, yeah, whatever you want, not knowing what we were signing up for. And what we were signing up for was to take this walk in this form and to have choices. We are making thousands of choices every day. We are making choices, and with every choice, it's like we extend out this possibility like a new fractal. And so by being a mistake maker, God has created a way for creation to keep expanding. And so as God's holy mistake makers, boy, are we doing a job. And that's where we need a sanctuary. The human of us needs a sanctuary in time, and I'm really happy to be part of this community that can create a sanctuary. So the souls are timeless, but here we are, and I'm going to talk about the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is a map. It's a combination of both time and space. It maps out archetypal energies in the various directions, and it overlays directions of the compass with seasons of the year, with parts of our life cycle, with the parts of a day. So all of this is kind of laid on top of each other, like various imprints, one on top of the other. And I'm going to start by just calling in the 4 directions. We welcome the winds of the east, for the east is sunrise and springtime and new beginnings. It's the time when the birds are singing their courtship songs. And then babies are being born. New buds are coming on the trees, and new plants are pushing up from the earth. And if we have a project in mind, this is the time of inspiration. Thank you for being with us, Winds of the East. We call in the winds of the South. Welcome, winds of the South. This is summertime, midday, the heat, time of rapid growth, the time of childhood, the time of full-bodied awareness of ourselves, the time when, if we have a project going on, it's the time we get into the hard work. That garden you planted in the spring, now you're pulling the weeds and bringing the water. It's the time of perspiration. Thank you, winds of the South. We call in the winds of the West. The sun sets every day, and this is the time of the West. It's the autumn. It's the losing of the light. The light was coming in. The light was full and bright, and now the light is dimming. Those plants that were sending their energy upward are now pulling their energy down into the earth. We are going into our roots. It is paradoxically both a time of letting go, because just as the plants, the trees are letting go of their leaves and releasing their fruits and their nuts, we are asked to spend some time letting go. And it is also a time of gathering. It's a time of taking in that harvest, taking it in, gathering amongst ourselves for a feast. So here we have the West, the time of going in, going deep, the time of the adolescent. And in your project, it's a time for contemplation, time to sit and think, and a time of celebration because we're having our feasts. So thank you, winds of the West. we call in the winds of the north. We are grateful for the winds of the north. It is winter and darkness and midnight and cold. And so, yes, we are going even deeper into ourselves. It is a time of the elder. It is the time of going into meditation to see how I can bring my gifts to the world. So thank you, winds of the north, the meditation. Thank you to all of the winds who are with us at this time. So that was the quick introduction, but we're going to go through again, and I have to admit that it was a little hard for me to write this talk because I have experience with several different traditions in terms of the medicine wheel. The first was with Quiet Heart Wilderness School. When my children went to Quiet Heart Wilderness School and I was a volunteer there, the person running the school would always start with something very similar to what I just shared. That would be the beginning of our day. And then, what was the next thing I did? The next one was probably Wilderness Awareness School. Wilderness Awareness School not only uses the 4 directions, they use 8 directions, the 4 cardinal and the 4 ordinal. And as we would go around through 9 months of this complete immersion in nature, they would teach us about fire building, which would be in the northwest, and learning about creepy crawlies in the soil, which was in the southeast, and bird language. And each of these teachings had a place on the wheel, and there was a reason. There was an energetic reason that that particular learning was in that place on the wheel. And there's, I used a quote from Bill Plotkin. This was, he's a Jungian psychologist, totally on the fast track to becoming a tenured professor at some big university, and had this awakening where it's just like, this isn't working for me, went out into the wilderness and ended up leaving his job, starting Animas Valley Institute. And he takes and he overlays Carl Jung teachings and dream psychology on the medicine wheel. And it's a very, very deep understanding of the self, the psyche, and our human nature. There's also the Celtic wheel, which I just know barely enough to probably mess it up. I'm sure that Lila and Chris know a lot more about the Celtic spiritual wheel. And School of Lost Borders, which is a school that does vision fast, not just for young adults, which they do, but also for adults. And I did my first vision fast just 3 years ago. Presently, I'm studying with Four Wind Society, which is a school of shamanic medicine. And when they look at the medicine wheel, they look more at perceptual states, how the perceptual states change as you go around the wheel. So where do you start? It's a wheel, right? We're supposed to be going around a wheel. So where do you start? Well, that's a whole question in itself. Frequently in our culture, when we are talking about space, we start in the north. And that is because our compasses point to the north. And we orient ourselves by looking at Polaris, the North Star. So we orient ourselves by finding north first, and then sticking out our right hand and saying, oh, that must be east. So north is a starting point. And then East can also be a starting point. There are some traditions that will start in the East because the East is sunrise. That's where the sun is coming up. It's the beginning of new things. So starting in the East makes sense. Starting in the South, there's a lot of traditions that actually start in the South because the South is childhood. And if you're going to talk about the progression of the human as it goes through its life cycle, then starting in the South is a good place because the East, being the time of birth, is also on the circle the time of death. So, there's starting in the East. Interesting thing, though, according to a book that I read, 4 Points in the Compass, there isn't any culture that starts their wheel in the West. And that's because it's at the end of a life cycle. It's at the end of the closing of the day. It's the closing down of things. And so that, at least according to that author, there's no cultures that start in the West. And I could be wrong about that. But, so I'm going to start in the South. And I've got a few things to share with you. Starting in the South is the time of childhood, right? Full-bodied awareness. The South. We are going to sing a song together. I'm a wild one. I'm the wild one now. This is a repeat after me song. Okay, you missed your cue, but that's okay because you didn't know. Whenever I say, this is a repeat after me song, you say, this is a repeat after me song. Okay, so I'm going to sing a line, and you're going to sing it back. Okay, and hopefully we'll have fun with this and sing the whole thing twice through. Let the sun shine down and warm my bones. Let the birds and the bees come and take my clothes.
Let the birds and the bees come and take my clothes.
'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of wind and rain. I'm wild and I ain't going back again.
I'm wild and I ain't going back again.
Let the moon shine down and cleanse my soul.
Let the moon shine down and cleanse my soul.
Let the wolves and the owls come and tend my coals.
Let the wolves and the owls come and tend my coals.
'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of stars and dreams.
I'm a wild one now, made of stars and dreams.
I'm wild and I'm part of everything.
I'm wild and a part of everything.
Let the stars shine down and cleanse my heart.
Let the stars shine down and cleanse my heart.
Let the beaver and the bear teach me of their art.
Let the beaver and the bear teach me of their art.
'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of fat and fish.
'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of fat and fish.
And tending to the wild is my greatest wish.
And tending to the wild is my greatest wish.
Think we can do it together now instead of a repeat? Okay, let's give it a try. Let the sun shine down and warm my bones. Let the birds and the bees come and take my clothes. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of wind and rain. I'm wild and I ain't going back again. Let the moon shine down and cleanse my soul. Let the wolves and the owls come and tend my coals. 'cause I'm a wild one now, made of stars and dreams. I'm wild and I'm part of everything. Let the stars shine down and cleanse my heart. Let the beaver and the bear teach me of their art. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of fat and fish. And tending to the wild is my greatest wish. Tending to the wild is my greatest wish. Ooh, yeah. Wild one, that's what the South is. The indigenous wild one. The child who knows their place in nature. The child who has full-bodied emotions unapologetically. The child, the child knowing it belongs to Earth. This is the way we are supposed to be in the world. And even as adults, we are supposed to be everywhere on that medicine wheel at once. And there's supposed to be a child alive within us that remembers its place and its belonging on this planet. So, as lovely as the summer and the childhood is, eventually the sun sets on the day and we move to the West. I have a poem for the West. It's a Rilke poem. It's called Onto a Vast Plain, and this version was translated by Joanna Macy. Bless her soul. You are not surprised at the force of the storm. You've seen it growing. The trees flee. Their flight sets the boulevard streaming, and you know the one whom they flee is the one you move toward. All your senses sing this one as you stand at the window. The week stood still in summer. The tree's blood rose. Now you feel it wants to sink back into the source of everything. You thought you could trust that power when you plucked the fruit. Now it becomes a riddle again, and you again a stranger. Summer was like your house. You knew where each thing stood. Now you must go into your heart as onto a vast plain. Now the immense loneliness begins. The days go numb. The wind sucks the world from your senses like withered leaves. Through the empty branches, the sky remains. It is what you have. Be earth now, an even song. Be the ground lying under that sky. Be modest now, like a thing ripened until it is real, so that the one who began it all can feel you when it reaches for you. That got somber quick. Yeah, so the West is adolescence. It is a time of ripening. And indigenous cultures approached that period of life very differently than we do now. It is a time in our lives when we are supposed to go into the depth of ourselves, to notice that there are dark places, and to go into those places, shine a light on them, and realize that that is a treasure. Our woundedness, our shame, whatever is haunting us in those depths, when we bring that to light, becomes the gift, becomes what we can bring to our people. Unfortunately, our culture has difficulty with this, and Bill Plotkin says that we live in a patho-adolescent society. This means we're stuck in adolescence. Adolescence is supposed to be a healthy time of ripening. Yeah, there are some dark spaces there, but it's supposed to be a healthy part of our journey. But we're stuck in a patho-adolescent society because we don't want to go to uncomfortable places. There's a lot in our culture that says, oh, are you uncomfortable? You need to buy this product. So instead of going there, we dodge around it. And it is possible to become an adult without going through the West properly, but it's nearly impossible to become an elder. We really need that time of ripening. Whereas in the South, we were totally unapologetic about whatever we were feeling. We are coming to the realization that we are not the center of the world. You know, our center of gravity has shifted, and we realize that there's things we got to pay attention to. So in Indigenous cultures, this is the time when the elders are keeping an eye on the young ones, and they watch for that time of ripening, and they say, that one's ready, and that one's ready. And these children will be gathered up, they'll be handed a blanket and a bundle for making a fire, and say, we don't want to see you for 5 days. And they have their vision fast. And this sounds harsh, and it sounds difficult, and it's even dangerous. There have definitely been children who have died on their vision fast. But what happens when we don't do that? There is something in us when, as we are reaching that adolescence and young adulthood, that knows that we're supposed to be pushed to the edge, that knows we're supposed to try something deep. And when the culture doesn't create it for them, they create it for themselves. And they go out and drive the cars too fast. They hang out with people that are not the best influence. And they create their own rites of passage, which are even much less healthy than some time in the wilderness. So I'm very happy that there's so many organizations out there now, Animas Valley School of South Borders, that are creating Vision Fast, not just for young people, but for anyone who feels like a little wilderness time might do their soul some good. So, eventually, when we found the treasure in the West, we moved to the North. And I have a poem for the North. Perhaps you have heard this one. Sometimes it is called the Hopi Prophecy, or a reading from the Arizona Hopi Nation, the elders. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell them this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other. And do not look outside yourself for the leader. This could be a good time. There is a river now flowing very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore. Push off into the middle of the river. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heads above water. See who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So the north is the time place of the elder, the one whose purpose in life is to be of service to others. In the south, which was opposite on the wheel, the focus was on the physical body. And then we moved west where it was about our soul and our psyche. And now we're in the mind. We're in that stage where we have to be the one who organizes and takes care of things and takes care of the community. That's our focus now. That rite of passage that you had as an adolescent, the fruits that you got, it's time to enact those fruits. It's time to bring that gift to the world. This is the time when you plant that tree under whose shade you will not sit. Now, the South was wonderful. It was necessary to find that belonging. It was necessary to ripen through the West so that you could become that elder and be of service to the world. It is the time to remember that we are supposed to be an eco-centric world. Presently, we live in mostly an ego-centric world, where the ego, the self, is the center. But eco-centric, it's like the world is the center, and I am revolving around it. So let's revisit a few words from the Hopi prophecy. This could be a good time. Know the river has a destination. This is a call to trust. See who is in there with you and celebrate. We are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And here I'm going to insert a little caveat, and that is there's a saying, and I'm not sure who to attribute it to, but it's definitely been something that I look at many times, and that is, don't look at the world and see what needs to be done and then try to go do that. Instead, think about what brings you alive and then go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who are alive. So when you're doing your work in the north, bring it alive. Now we're going to move to the east. The east is just as the West has the paradox of both letting go and gathering in, the East has the paradox of being both the death and birth doorway. And there's also the archetypal energy is both the wise old sage and the innocent little child. And if you look at both of these beings, the laughing Buddha, the one who has come around the circle with and has so much embodied wisdom that he says, "Oh, I've learned so much and I know nothing. Isn't that hilarious?" And so whenever we have a child in our midst, everybody wants to look at the child. And more than that, they want the child to look at them. You want to get there and see that child look at you, and that is because the child doesn't have all these veils and all this pile on. He isn't thinking about what you should have done and what you could have done. The child just sees your shining soul as it is, and there's something in it that knows that when a baby is looking at us and smiling. And so that's where the laughing Buddha and the innocent child come together. It's just like, I see you. This is the East. The East is also the time of the trickster, because everything you thought was true is like, oh yes, it's true, and it's not true at the same time. So here we are, the laughing Buddha and the innocent sage, and because we've gone through that birth-death doorway, it's remember how we started with the soul doesn't need a sanctuary, and we came here to be embodied? Well, when you go through that doorway, you're going to go back to not being a body anymore, at least for a while, maybe. And I have another poem about, this one's from Khalil Gibran, and sometimes it's titled Fear, and sometimes it's titled The River Cannot Go Back. And yeah, we're about to play the song in a minute. Okay. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of mountains, the long, winding road through forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. No one can go back. To go back is impossible. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. And I have a song, and I'm not going to try to sing it or lead it. It's got so many incredible melodies. It's called Oh River, and Bryce is going to help us play it. It's by a group called Mom Muse, and if you're not familiar with them, I highly recommend looking them up. So yeah, let's play Oh River.
Finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Oh, river, I can feel you calling me. Oh, river,
this back on. Okay. So yeah, I've kind of given a map of the time, place of the medicine wheel. According to one tradition, of course, medicine wheel arises in all cultures all over the world. If you're not tired of hearing me talk, I got a little bit more to teach you how to use the map. You have a map. What do you do with it? Well, sometimes in our lives, we tend to get exaggerated in one of the directions. I had an experience. I tend to be a very East person. I was at an event with Pir Zia from the Sufi order, and between the meditations and the talks, there was a group of musicians that were hanging out and playing, and I went over and I was dancing. I was just high as a kite. And one of the musicians came over and said, "You dance beautifully, but you're also kind of not very grounded." And he wasn't being mean or anything. He was just giving me information. And he tried to teach me a few Tai Chi stances, and I really wasn't getting it. But so we just went back to playing and dancing, and at one point, he came over, and he just went like that to me while I was dancing, and I went, "Oh, I see what you mean. I'm not grounded." And I always kind of wondered, because here I was in the Sufi tradition, which is very East, very towards the light. And there was something that was calling me to be part of this indigenous culture. And that's on the opposite side. That's in the West. That's a very grounded spirituality. So now I understand why I was called over there. But it's an interesting thing, a very important teaching that I got from School of Lost Borders. It's a Vision Fast organization. Is that whenever you feel an imbalance, I'm a little too much this, your medicine is on the opposite side of the medicine wheel. But it's not a good idea to try to jump there. It's better to go around the medicine wheel. So if I'm too much in the East and I need the West, I need to go south. I need to remember being embodied. Remember the embodied child who knows their place on this earth? I need to go there first. Jumping across the medicine wheel is likely to cause a different kind of imbalance. But whenever you kickstart the motion of going around the medicine wheel, again, you're gonna get the motion. You're gonna get what you need because you're moving around. So I needed to get into that embodied child. What about a person who is stuck in the South? You know the adults who kind of like want to live to party all the time. They're not taking responsibility. They have a job, but maybe they're not being serious about very much. Maybe they're a little imbalanced and got a little bit too much South energy. So what do they need? They need the North. They need to be an adult. But like I said before, to try to become an adult without going through that West, you're not going to be a very balanced adult. You are very likely to take on a project. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this service for my community. It's probably going to be too idealistic and not come from a very good, well-rounded place unless they move through the West in order to get there. Maybe they need to go on a rite of passage or spend some time in nature. Whatever it is, they need to go west. A person who's stuck in the West is often kind of depressed, because it is kind of there is some darkness there. And if you find yourself always in the darkness, you need that light that's on the east. But you need to go through the north to get there. And that is, if you're in the west and you're just feeling down all the time, what's the best thing to do? I've heard Sally Joe say this. You know, whenever I'm feeling down, my mother would ask me, what have you done for somebody today? Do some service, because it really pulls you out of that funk. Whenever that down feeling starts to grab you again, you can say, no, I've got things to do. I'm being called. I have a calling. And so that gets us kick-started out of the west. What if we're too much in the north? If you're too much in the north, you're a person who's constantly taking care of everybody else, constantly got to be in charge, constantly organizing things, and you need a little time playing in the south. You need some childhood in you. But why go through the east? Well, I have a story that whenever I used to be with the Unitarian Universalist Church in Shoreline, and fabulous community. They tend to be very service-oriented, and they would have a committee that was doing social justice things and ecological justice things and care of our community things. And I was on 5 committees, and I was getting drained. And I said, wait a minute, I wanted to have a spiritual community so I could feel uplifted, and here I'm feeling drained. And I came to Interfaith Community Sanctuary and was taking Jamal Rahman's class, and I said, why, there's a being who's just shining all the time, and he's obviously being of service to the community. Why isn't he drained? Well, it's because, and you know, it's interesting because as soon as I asked that question, an answer came into my brain, which is a good indication that the answer came from a divine source, because if you think about things, it's coming from your mind. But if an answer comes quickly, yeah, maybe somebody out there gave it to you. And the answer that came was, he's not doing it from an egoic perspective. He's being a channel for the divine. He has his spiritual practices. So being in the north and being of service is great, but if you're not doing it from the source, letting the divine be the power that you are giving from, then you're eventually going to get drained. So there we have the medicine wheel and how to use it, how to go around and keep that medicine wheel going around and around. And I'm just going to end by repeating the quote that I started with. We are being summoned by the world itself to make urgent changes to the human project. But most central is a fundamental revisioning and reshaping of ourselves, a shift in consciousness. We must reclaim and embody our original wholeness, our indigenous human nature, granted to us by nature itself. Thank you for being with me. All right. So I guess at this time, we're going to say, do we have something else?
No, do you want to do some question, answer, or discussion?
Yeah, so I was going to, is it time to say goodbye to our online community?
We'll pass the mic around and let them listen.
Oh, lovely.
I can repeat questions for people if they don't speak into the mic, but. Oh, yeah, I have the other mic right here. Yeah.
Okay.
This is often after we have a talk from a guest speaker, we want to give people a time to respond from their own thoughts and hearts and ask questions. Now, we do have to keep it within, let's say, let's stop at 20 after, and then we'll have time downstairs if you want to go on with it, if you can stick around for a while. But if anyone has a short comment or a question or something that has come up in them, this would be a great time to ask Nurah Grace about that, or just give her the feedback that you have.
Nurah Grace, so much good stuff. Thank you. I really appreciated the working through the medicine wheel and the various layers that you described, and even at the end, giving us a map to follow. That was brilliant. Thank you. There were some surprises along the way. Like, I never really had thought about the West being paradoxical, with the letting go and the gathering at the same time. So that really gave me something to think about. And then I have been visiting the East some, and that feeling of sacredness about what we're doing right now in our lives, and that this is not going to last forever, our feet on this ground. And so each moment can be sacred if we're there for it. So I really appreciate your talk today. Thank you so much.
You didn't have to worry about leading the singing. A lot of people worry about that stuff. You just sing. You sing how you sing, and that's the beauty of it.
Thanks.
I really appreciate how you shared about the different elements and aspects of the medicine wheel. I've had a couple different teachers from different tribes who have done teachings around the medicine wheel, and there are some differences, but you've hit on the key ones that a lot of the tribes that I've experienced share alike. So I really appreciate what you shared and the depth of it, and it just really resonated. And it brought some more things more up in my heart, the way you shared it. So thank you very much.
Well, it's so beautiful how so many different cultures. It's kind of like the medicine wheel rose out of the earth itself, because they're so all over the world. They came up with medicine wheels.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about, and I appreciate the shout out, but I've always been a person who felt oriented to the West when I started studying and pointing out about depressive issues and how there is that paradoxical nature to it that, I hadn't heard anybody start in the South before, but that also made a lot of sense, and I really appreciated all that you brought today, and I look forward to another talk. Thank you.
Hi. I'm not familiar with medicine wheels, and I'm not someone who's experienced in studying other cultures, but I can totally relate with so much of what you spoke about, specifically that when we're lost or feeling depressed or ungrounded, service to others has always been uplifting and has always brought me like a balsam to my soul, So I can totally agree with that when you're in a funky place, service to others, because you forget about yourself, and if you do it selflessly, it just fills you. It, brings you to a different place. So, thank you so much for reminding me of that, and it was really nice being here.
Gretchen, did you have your hand up at some point? At that, okay. Okay, I thought I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Okay.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for everything today. A lot resonated and gave me new information. I really appreciated what you said about the need for adolescent vision quests, adolescent, rites of passage, and the question about what happens when you don't have those. I think my own adolescence and Trinity, my first daughter's adolescence, was an example of what happens when you don't have those. Now I have another daughter who's on the precipice of going into adolescence, and I'm like, okay, gonna do it this time. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Nurah Grace. I knew you would have so much to offer, and we will come back to this topic. It's so deep and it's so rich with wisdom and so on. And it was suggested at our retreat that we have some regular teachings on this topic, and I think that it's something we're definitely going to try to do. I know we have Nurah Grace, who's had a lot of teachings in it, and Steve Kramer, who's also had teachings in it, and we can certainly find more resources for those who want to explore it more deeply. And it's been suggested that we offer the 4 directions sometimes in our service. So there will be, we'll definitely, I think there's an opportunity to revisit this topic for those who want to dig deeper, because it's clearly a deep subject, and we thank you for sharing. So illuminating it so much. I know I came from a really beginner's mind on this, so I feel like I got a lot of illumination on it. And I also want to say that your singing was great, and I thought we did better than usual as a group to really follow along. So I want to thank everybody for stepping in there with Nurah Grace, so she didn't have to feel like she was going to fail at this somehow. We did a great job, and we thank you. The song, yeah, and the words of the songs, yeah.
Good,
and
thank you. Thank you for joining me robustly. I really appreciated that.
That was beautiful. And we're going to get more and more of the sing-alongs in our services. You'll see if you stay tuned. So good. So we'll take a moment now to go into the rest of our, just our brief announcements and sharing our wealth. This is the time in our service when we do like to pass the plate and give everybody an opportunity to share with the community if they can. And I know that many people share online through our website, and the people who are watching and listening online certainly have been very helpful in keeping our community going and helping us pay the bills and keep the water flowing and the electricity flowing and keeping the building in good shape. And we have a tremendous gift here in our building, and we just want to always remind ourselves and be grateful to the Spirit for offering us this building and giving us the stewardship of it. And we do it through selfless service, through our putting forth our skills and our knowledge, and knowing how to fix windows and doors and ceilings and pipes and furnaces and all kinds of things, and making sure that we keep this in good stewardship. And we appreciate all that we all do. That's because we use this building a lot, and it's not just on Sunday mornings, as you know. We do have a worship service every Sunday at 10 a.m. Next week, we're welcoming another guest, this time a guest we haven't met before, from Bainbridge Island, who is coming to speak, and his name is Terry Hershey, and he's an author of a book called Sanctuary, Creating a Space for Grace in Your Life. And I think it was Joey who pointed this book out to me at the beginning of the year when we were beginning our exploration of Sanctuary, and I read it right away, and it turned out that it got to be this point of the year and I needed a guest speaker, so I contacted him, and he was available to come next month. So I've asked him to come and speak a little bit. Now, he's written a number of books, and you can find his website. He's also a pastor, I think, in the Presbyterian tradition, but I might be wrong about that. He's a pastor, but he's also a landscape designer, and he works a lot with gardens, and his book is, we have a copy of his book. I had it in the office for a long time. Maybe it's on our bookshelf. But I think he'll be interesting to hear from him. He's going to address our theme, Sanctuary of Nature. Now, that's the first Sunday of September, but before that, we have a fifth Sunday in August. I almost forgot. And our own Steve Crawford, I'm sorry. There's Steve Kramer, Steve Crawford. They both begin with a K sound, and one's a C and one's a K, and I get mixed. Anyway, Steve Crawford, whom we all know from many years of helping around here and being one of and he's also a minister. We have so many ministers in this. This is a church for ministers, okay? We just want y'all to know that. And Steve is going to share with us next week around the theme, and he's sneaking into that Sanctuary of Nature theme, right? Because originally, Steve was scheduled to be the first Sunday of September, but had to get flipped with the fifth Sunday of August. So we get an extra week on Sanctuary of Nature next week. That's right. And we keep in mind that the whole year is a one theme about Sanctuary, and I think we're all getting the idea now that the sub-themes are all interrelated, and that's what we're hoping to weave together, this tapestry of what it means to be sanctuary. And hopefully everybody's getting some deepening ideas about that. And you'll have a chance to share too. So talk to me if you'd like to be one. I'm working on the 2026 calendar, so if you've been inspired by what you've heard, let me know, and we'll get you on our 2026 calendar as well. So upcoming gatherings, as you know, besides our Sunday services, we have a lot of classes during the week. We have activities going on in different traditions, such as the Medicine Circle that meets every Tuesday with Siswin Clay online, and then one Saturday a month. And there's a Course in Miracles, which is another type of group that meets and studies spiritual practices through the Course in Miracles. We have study groups on Masnawi, on books of Rumi. We have a meditation circle on Thursday evening, just plain sitting in silence and getting our meditation time that way right here in the sanctuary. That's in person. And we have Friday prayers in the Islamic tradition, which are always on Zoom now. And so we invite you to check the website out, sign up for our upcoming gatherings list that you can get every Monday morning, and find out what part of this community and the people who gather speaks to you right now, and something you want to gain, you have interest in, and you want to gain more knowledge and more practice in. And then Joey has an upcoming gathering she'd like to talk about a proposal for an upcoming gathering.
Thank you, Sally Jo. So I was inspired recently by a picnic that I went to, and also by our discernment for September, which is Sanctuary in Nature, and also my love of this land and landscaping. So what I'd like to kind of put out there to folks is this idea. Sally Jo and I talked about it, and she said, go for it. So I'm going for it. The weekend, September 20th, Saturday, I was thinking that it would be fun to have an ICS picnic. It's been a few years since we've done that, and we could have it right here at ICS under that nice big tree back here in the back, and then make it a combo thing so that maybe before the picnic, like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock, folks gather, do a little yard work, and then one or two, whoever wants to gather for a picnic gathers for a picnic. So they can be mutually exclusive. So if you don't want to work in the yard, fine, just show up for the picnic. If you want to work in the yard but not go to the picnic, fine, do that. But I'd like to kind of do that combo sort of event. And that's my idea, and I'm bringing it to you. I need help, of course. I can't do this by myself. So if you are interested in participating in such an event, please see me and let's coordinate and go for it. Make it happen. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements that people have been hoping to say during this time? Okay. All right.
It'll be a very interactive service. And the theme basically is the relationship between being a human being a child of nature, finding sanctuary through nature, and some science. I'm a spiritual humanist, so it won't involve God per se, but it will involve connectedness. All right.
Are we having Bill Nye?
I invited him, but he couldn't make it.
What was that? What did you ask?
Are we having Bill Nye? Because he talked about this spiritual.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. At this time, we'll say goodbye to our friends online and thank them for joining us here. And they're always welcome to come either online or in person. We welcome that. And